Watching back this episode was fun. It brought back a lot of positive memories, even 8.5 months on. Watching this back, I'm so happy I documented it. You know, running between countries, trying to absorb as much information, trying to build as much momentum as possible, all before any real difficulties kicked in. Moving at a fast pace and creating intentional progress in a short period of time is something that I love and I find so much passion in, and I hope you can see that in this episode. So, fun start to the video. I'm now in a grab car waiting for a grab bike to take me to the airport because the traffic is too bad to get there on time in a car. So I have a bike arriving in 3 minutes. I've not been on a grab bike in about a year. So hopefully that gets me there on time and we can carry on with the video as planned.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of safety,
Okay, a very long day, but we're not done. As you can probably tell, it's dark outside, which wasn't really the plan. I was meant to land in KL and go straight to a golf course that's nearby this hotel called Tropicana. They do some form of night golf, so I was really hoping to get some shots of the samples in that night golf environment. Also, first manufacturing issues this morning, which I'll go through at another time. Logistical problems to and from the airport. I'm gonna have to come up with a backup plan, which I think I have. That being heading to a driving range. There's a lot of night lit or floodlit driving ranges in Kuala Lumpur, which will still give me that night golf aesthetic. So I'm gonna grab my samples now, chuck them in a bag, head to a range that's about 10 minutes from here and get some cool content, hopefully. And yeah, we'll go from there. I'm hoping that I can get around in the morning, but I might have to get up pretty early to get out and do that because I do have to go to a mall. There's a lot of high-end shops there, so I want to head in and look at some fabric inspiration and also look at some potentially inspiration for products themselves. I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, but the wealth of options is huge, and I'm not sure when I'll get access to that sort of selection again before I head back to the UK. So we'll check that out. But yeah, for now, range, bed, regroup. We go again tomorrow.
Most of the things that
the overhead compartment, and please ensure you
So it's the next day. I was meant to record some content late last night, but again got caught in traffic, so it took me around 2 hours to get back from the airport. I was meant to end the vlog there, but I woke up this morning and it's a little cool in Bali, and it's a Saturday, so I'm actually gonna head up to a course up in the mountains today called Handara. More of a kind of jungle aesthetic and a really cool place to shoot content, especially because it's very, very green. So the off-white all kind of contrast and look really cool within that. I'm also going to be testing this polo. This is from another brand and it's a kind of spandex polyester blend, and something that I'm looking to remake in a slightly higher quality. Definitely not quantity, because they're quite a big brand, and it'll be a really cool place to get some shots. So I'm going to head up there in about 20 minutes. It's another hour 30 there, hour 30 back, so it's another day of travel. And it's been a mad couple of days, but just trying to get as much testing done before I go back to Scotland, so I can do a couple of fittings, a couple more sample meetings and revisions with as much information as I can get before I head back. And so I've got the best quality and most relevant sample that I can get, and the closest one to my vision. So yeah, heading up there today, show some behind the scenes, get some range content, get some course content. And yeah, I guess it's kind of going to be more of a 72 hours of building the brand here in Bali, and also with a trip across to KL. So action-packed couple of days. Yeah, I'll take you up to Handara.
I think it's like if like just living there is probably nice, but I really like this weather.
Okay, so it's the day after test 3, definitely the best of the 3 tests. The second test that you saw at the start of this vlog didn't go to plan, but I'll go through that. I'm conscious that the timeline and the setup of this vlog may have been a little bit scattered, so I'm just going to go through what's been happening, where we are now, and what are my next steps moving forward. So trip at the start of this vlog was to Malaysia, was to Kuala Lumpur, for 2 reasons. Firstly, to test out first and second sample, also to go to Pavilion Mall in KL, which is probably the closest mall to me, other than maybe Singapore, that has really luxury high-end brands. So I wanted to head there and have a look at some inspiration, have a look at some different products in different places like Prada, Saint Laurent, Louis Vuitton, Burberry, and some of those higher end brands, also Lululemon, just to check out some of the fabrics that they're using. So yeah, that went really well. But in terms of the test itself in Kuala Lumpur, it was difficult, didn't go to plan. The material did feel quite suffocating and definitely didn't hold up. There was a lot of perspiration throughout the test, but I'm not overly concerned. The environment in Malaysia and the climate was very hot, very muggy, around 30, 31, 32 degrees in a city. So the humidity, the stuffiness was there. So part of me does feel kind of no matter what I was going to wear in that environment, I was going to sweat. Definitely was made worse by the thickness. However, on the test that I did yesterday up in Handara, the climate was a lot more similar to what I'd expect the buyers of the products to play in. You know, it was low 20s, cool wind, a little bit of drizzle. Yeah, kind of exactly the climate I'm aiming to sell within, and it held up beautifully. The polo had that premium weight without being suffocating. The fabric was breathable enough for it to not be, like I say, suffocating, and was also amazing for performance. Hugged the physique beautifully without restricting any sort of movement, and I'm really happy with the material I'm using for that design. I also tested out one other design of a different company, but it's definitely something that I want to try and get close to with some golf specific tweaks. In terms of what I found in Pavilion Mall was actually quite interesting. A lot of their very high-end brands, Saint Laurent, there was also Boggi Milano, that is quite new but has a beautiful feel within its garments, and I think the fabric was called polyamide. I'm very new to the fabrics and the textile side of things, but it's something that I'm really enjoying kind of delving deeper into. So I ended up buying a product that was made of polyamide, and I'm going to take that to the manufacturers. So overall, the trip to Malaysia was a success in a sense. It means that when I do go for a more Asia specific product, then I'm going to need to look to lighter feeling material, a lower GSM material, something a little bit more breathable. And also I took a lot of inspiration from the brands and the products that I went and saw in person. And then in terms of the test yesterday, I thought it was great. Climate was perfect, exactly what I'm going to try and sell within, or for players within that climate. And also being able to feel that weight and see that premium aesthetic hold up beautifully in exactly the climate and the environment I hope to myself play within, and hope the target market and the consumer plays within. And from now it's getting to a point that I have 15 days until I go back to the UK, so there is a lot to do. Day by day I'm going to be chipping away at a to-do list that I've created today. The next episode is going to be about branding. Branding is the fun part, and then trademarks is the foundation that you have to nail. I've heard some horror stories in the industry of people starting brands and not making sure they're watertight on trademarks. Represent has a really tough story on how they nearly lost their name and had to put a pretty big payout to get their name and get the rights to the name Represent, so I don't want to go down that route. So it's tightening up on the trademark side and also making sure that the branding is exactly what I want it to be. I already have a really good idea of what I want the branding to look like, how I want the branding to feel, the aesthetic, the tone of the brand itself, and then it's going to be moving on to marketing efforts and pre-production stuff for the videos and the content that I'll be shooting up in Scotland.